Rivers shape cities, and some cities shape the destiny of rivers. In China, no river has mattered more than the Yangtze. It flows through mountains, through deep gorges, for more than 6,000 kilometers before reaching the sea. Thousands of years, merchants traveled along its waters, armies marched beside its banks, and civilizations rose along its course. And midway through its journey, there is a place where the mountains begin to fade and the great plains start to unfold. Here, the gorges come to an end, and another story begins. This city is Yichang. A beautiful melody drifted down from upstairs. I couldn't resist going up to take a look. It turned out to be a small gathering in a cafe. The music seemed to be a traditional song of the Tujia people. There was no stage, no lighting, just a few locals sitting together, singing softly. Unfortunately, I arrived a little too late. The singing soon came to an end, but travel is full of moments like this. Some sights can be planned in advance, while some stories can only be discovered by chance. And now, the real journey is about to begin. We are now sailing on the Yangtze River. By the time its waters reach this point, they have already flowed more than 4,500 kilometers from their source in western China. Today, our journey turns upstream. Passing through the Gezhouba Ship Lock, we will leave the plains behind and head west into the mountains. Following the course once taken by the river itself, we enter the Three Gorges once again. And with them, the history, legends, and lives shaped by China's greatest river. The third lock is the smallest of the Gezhouba locks. Passing through a ship lock remains a fascinating experience for most travelers. As the gates slowly close, the vessel seems to enter a giant water elevator. The water level begins to rise, gently lifting the ship higher and higher. The concrete walls that once towered above us appear to grow shorter, while the upstream river, hidden from view just moments ago, gradually comes into sight. Over the next several minutes, the vessel will complete a vertical journey within the lock chamber. Once the water level matches that of the upstream river, the gates ahead will open, revealing another stretch of the Yangtze. For the cargo ships that travel this river every day, this is simply a routine passage. But for many visitors, it is their first opportunity to witness so directly the power of human engineering, reshaping a river and connecting waters at different elevations. As we leave the lock behind, our journey upstream continues. The broad waters around Yichang gradually give way to the mountains ahead, and we begin our voyage into the heart of the Three Gorges. The Yangtze River has shaped not only the landscape, but also the people who have lived along its banks. For thousands of years, countless individuals have left their mark on this land. And among the many historical figures associated with Yichang, one name stands above the rest: Qu Yuan. Most Chinese people know the story of his final moments in the Manyilou River. What many do not realize is that his hometown was actually Zigui, in present-day Yichang. More than 2,000 years ago, a young man left the mountains on the northern bank of the Yangtze and stepped onto the political stage of the state of Chu. He hoped to change the fate of his country through his ideals. But as a politician, Qu Yuan was not a success. He was marginalized, exiled from the center of power, and ultimately unable to prevent the decline of Chu. Yet it was during those years away from politics that he created some of the greatest works in Chinese literary history. Qu Yuan never became a successful statesman, but he became an immortal poet. Looking back across Chinese history, one cannot help but notice a pattern. Successful politicians are often skilled at compromise, while great writers are often unsuccessful politicians. We are now sailing through Xiling Gorge, the longest section of China's famed Three Gorges. For more than 66 kilometers, the gorge stretches from Zigui to Yichang. With the completion of the Three Gorges Project and the filling of its vast reservoir, this ancient gorge has been divided into two sections by the Three Gorges Dam. Upstream of the dam, many of the rapids and dangerous shoals that once challenged river travelers now lie beneath the water. We are now sailing through the eastern section of Xiling Gorge, downstream of the dam. Here, the mountains still rise steeply from the river, and the scenery remains much as it has for generations. The waters may have changed, but the spirit of the gorge endures. Such magnificent landscapes often give rise to extraordinary people. Some are remembered for what they achieved. Others live on through the poems they left behind. And then there are those whose very names become symbols of beauty for generations to come. Her name was Wang Zhaojun. This legendary woman was born here, beside Xiling Gorge. Her hometown lies not far from the river we are sailing on today. More than 2,000 years ago, she left this place behind. She said farewell to the Yangtze River. She said farewell to the mountains and traveled north. From the misty homeland of Chu to the vast grasslands beyond the frontier and toward the destiny that awaited her. History remembers that journey with a simple phrase, Zhaojun's journey beyond the frontier. But for Wang Zhaojun, it was never just a phrase, it was her life. Like the endless Yangtze flowing eastward, its waves have washed away countless heroes. Sailing through Xiling Gorge, it is hard not to think of these famous lines, written centuries ago. In the year 222, after the death of Guan Yu, Liu Bei led a massive army down the Yangtze, driven by a desire for revenge and a determination to reclaim what he had lost. Facing the advancing forces of Shu Han, Eastern Wu placed its hopes in a young commander named Lu Xun. Unlike the veteran generals of his time, Lu Xun was known more as a scholar than a warrior. Few believed this young commander could stop Liu Bei. Lu Xun chose patience over confrontation, waiting for the right moment to strike. Months later, that opportunity finally came. A devastating fire swept through the Shu Han encampments, bringing the campaign to an end and changing the course of the Three Kingdoms era. History remembers it as the Battle of Yiling. With a single victory, Lu Xun rose to fame throughout China. His triumph became one of the most celebrated examples of turning defense into decisive victory against a stronger enemy. Today, the drums of war and the smoke of battle have long since faded into history. The Green Mountains remain while sunsets come and go. Success and failure alike pass into the past, and countless stories of ages gone by have become little more than tales told in conversation. Looking down from Xiling Ridge, a series of immense waterways unfolds through the valley below. At first glance, it may not seem particularly remarkable, but in reality, this is one of humanity's most extraordinary engineering achievements etched onto the face of the earth. Before us lies the Three Gorges double-lined, 5-stage ship lock system. Stretching for more than 1.6 kilometers, its 5 massive lock chambers connect the upper and lower reaches of the Yangtze River. Each chamber measures 280 meters in length and 34 meters in width, large enough to accommodate multiple 3,000-ton cargo vessels at the same time. The entire system overcomes a vertical difference of 113 meters, roughly the height of a 40-story building. For thousands of years, the Yangtze River has shaped the cities and civilizations along its banks. But here, humanity has made it possible for ships to climb a mountain. Standing here, we can see the ship lift system on the northern side of the Three Gorges Dam. In the 5-stage ship lock, vessels are lifted step by step, crossing a total elevation difference of 113 meters. Yet engineers came up with another solution. Instead of passing through 5 locks, a ship can be lifted in a single journey, much like riding a giant elevator. In just a few dozen minutes, it can overcome the same 113-meter height difference. This is the Three Gorges Ship Lift. The dam stretches for more than 2 kilometers from one mountainside to the other, cutting across the Yangtze River. It serves as a flood control project, a hydroelectric power station, and a vital navigation corridor, linking the upper and lower reaches of the river. Its influence extends to the lives of hundreds of millions of people, yet through the lens of a camera, it may not appear as spectacular as one might expect. It lacks the towering height of a skyscraper and the dramatic steepness of a cliff. And yet, behind it, the water level of the upper Yangtze has been raised by nearly 100 meters. More than 600 kilometers of river upstream have been transformed. What was once a fast-flowing mountain river has become a vast artificial lake. And from this point onward, the Yangtze begins a new chapter of its journey. But numbers are only numbers. Only by standing here can one truly understand what it means for humanity to reshape a river between the mountains. Night falls, and the river breeze still drifts through Yichang. For thousands of years, the stories of the Three Gorges have echoed among these mountains. Some people have gone, some kingdoms have vanished, and some engineering feats have reshaped the river itself. Yet the warmth and bustle of life along its banks have never disappeared.
要什么温砖？要冰的？
要冰的，我要冰的。
你要冰的吗？
冰的。这个为什么叫凉虾呢？它是虾吗？
它不是虾，它就是用那个糯米做的，它是虾那个虾米的样子。
哦，本地特色是吧？
对，本地那个特色，在这边有20多年历史了，来慢走。
好，谢谢。
A bowl of steaming street food, a few ordinary conversations, lights reflected on the water, and another quiet evening unfolds. And perhaps this is what makes the Yangtze so captivating. It bears witness to history and it sustains everyday life. Such is Yichang, and such is the Yangtze.